Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell. In today's video, we're going to look at motivation strategies. So in the previous videos, we looked at what the actual motivation theories were, or three motivation theories, to see how are humans actually motivated. And now we need to look at what are some specific strategies that businesses or managers can put into place to try and motivate their employees. And so that's what this video is all about. So if a business has unmotivated employees, as we know, business performance and productivity and achievement of goals is likely to be mediocre. So the idea is to have a motivated workforce that works hard towards the achievement of business objectives. Now, there are specific motivation strategies listed in the study design, and they are performance-related pay, career advancement, investment in training, support, and sanction. And so we're going to go through each one of those individually. So what we need to go through with each of these strategies is actually know what each strategy is, but then we need to go through some advantages and disadvantages of each strategy, and then we need to know the effect or the impact of each of those strategies on both short-term and long-term motivation. So we're going to go through each of those kind of aspects when we look at each individual strategy. So the first strategy in our study design is performance-related pay, which is where an employer receives a financial reward based on meeting or exceeding performance. So the business can set objectives, and that can be done through a performance appraisal or just sitting down with the employee and setting objectives for the individual, and therefore tying in their wage or the amount that they receive, the amount of money they receive, I should say, to their performance towards the achievement of that particular objective. So there's lots of different forms that performance relay can come in. So for example, it could be a simple pay increase where they receive an ongoing pay rise based on the employee's performance. Could be bonuses, so a one-off payment where if the employee actually meets or exceeds an expectation or a particular objective, therefore they get a bonus. Commissions, where they're receiving a percentage of each sale that they're making, or even share plans where they receive shares in the actual business. So the longer they work in the business and achieving certain objectives, they may actually own part of the business and share in the profits if the business makes any profits. So they're just some examples of specific performance-related pay strategies. So as I said, we need to look at the advantages and disadvantages of each of these strategies. So the advantages of performance-related pay, or some examples of advantages I should say, is that it can provide immediate motivation for the employees. They strive to actually achieve a particular objective or exceed the expectations that it's been set upon them, and therefore to try and receive the incentive. It also rewards the best performers within the business. So those that are performing to a high level and achieving or exceeding the set objectives, then it rewards those, and it's that positive reinforcement. And then hopefully those that are underperforming will then strive to actually receive a particular incentive. And also there's clear criteria on how the individual or the employee is actually going to achieve the incentive. So the employees are normally very clear on exactly what they need to achieve, which really gives clarity around their work. Now, with the disadvantages, it can generate a competition-based culture where everyone's sort of working against each other, and some employees may then decide to undermine other employees in order to try and earn more for themselves. It can cause resentment from some employees. Some employees may feel like they're not treated fairly because they're not receiving the same amount of pay as everyone, and it can cause that sort of inequality between employees. And often it's deemed, lots of the research shows that it can be a short-term motivator, but not necessarily a great long-term motivator. There are ways that it can be motivated in the long term, but it's often seen as a short-term motivator. Now, performance-related pay can have an impact on both the short term and long term. There is the possibility that in the short term, more money can actually motivate employees to work harder towards that set objective, so they can actually see the target that they need to achieve in order to receive the incentive. So therefore, they're motivated to work hard to achieve that. But also, in terms of the long term, when financial rewards become an ongoing strategy, long-term motivation can result as the employees continue to strive to receive higher and higher levels of pay and more bonuses. But as we said before, it can eat away at the culture within a business, and there's lots of research to show that once an employee receives a certain level of pay, that they're not necessarily motivated in the long term to continue to receive incentives. The next motivation strategy is career advancement, which is where an employee is given opportunity to take on greater responsibility within the business. So they're almost receiving promotions, taking on that greater responsibility. So some benefits include, well, it can increase the pay of the individual or the employee, improve self-esteem because all of a sudden the business is showing trust in them that they can do a job to take on that greater responsibility. It throws out a challenge and gives experience for the employees, and also therefore they're improving their status within the business because they're climbing up the corporate ladder. So if we look at some advantages of career advancement, well, it helps retain talented employees because no longer will employees really look to other businesses to seek promotion opportunities if they know that they can be promoted within the current business that they're working in. So it helps retain that talent. Also, employees are rewarded for their past performances because it's real recognition and a show of trust from the business that they trust the employee to take on that greater responsibility. And also the business knows the values and skills and the potential of the employees that they are promoting, and therefore they know that they've got the values that the business desires, and that can help build a really strong culture within the business. Now, some disadvantages: it may cause resentment from those that are overlooked from promotion. So it's very difficult for a business to promote everyone, and I've got that in the last dot point as well. So therefore, it's likely that when a promotion is available, that multiple employees will actually put their hand up for that promotion and apply for it, but maybe not everyone can receive that promotion, and therefore can cause resentment for those that miss out. There can be lack of outside perspective brought into the business, because if the business only promotes from within, then there's a lack of people coming from outside with different ideas and experiences, which can really help grow the business. And also it may create rivalries between employees as they look to try and get the promotions against each other. Now, career advancement can help improve motivation in the short term by providing the possibility of promotion, and therefore the employee can be really motivated and go, well, I see this promotion I want to go for, and therefore work really hard towards it, and so it improves that motivation as they work towards that promotion. But in the long term, if the employees see that the position that they would like to be in say 3 to 5 years, it may provide some kind of career path for them, and therefore they're motivated to say, well, I know that if I work hard in this business, I can achieve that position within a long period of time, and so it provides that long-term motivation. Now, the next strategy is where the business invests in training. So training is the process of an employee learning and improving their skills so they're able to perform their job at a higher level. Now, if the employees are able to perform their job at a higher level, it can improve motivation, because these improved skills essentially means the employees are better at their work, and so that can help provide that motivation to learn new skills and improve their abilities. Also, learning new things helps motivate employees. Satisfying that real curiosity can help motivate the employees. It also shows that the business values them, because it is an investment. Training costs money within a business, so it shows that the business is investing in the employees, which makes them feel more valued, more motivated, and likely to stay within the business. So if we look at just some of the advantages of training, it shows that the employees values them, which again, as we said, can improve motivation, gives a real sense of job security also to the employees, because all of a sudden, why would a business invest in the employee if they don't feel like they're going to stick around for a while? So it can help give a sense of job security. It also enables the employees to perform their job at a higher level, it helps build a learning culture, which can be a real positive thing, and also helps retain valued employees because the business is investing in them. However, some disadvantages is that it's often expensive to undertake training, and the employees are taken out of work while the training is actually being performed. Now, there's no guarantee that the employee will remain within the business. So if the business invests in the training and spends the money to train the employees, and therefore the employee, if they decide to, can leave the business and go and work somewhere else, and so therefore there's a loss of that investment. And also, training may be wasted if there isn't really sufficient jobs with a higher skill level required. Why train the employees? Or if a business is going to train the employees but they don't really get to use those skills, those new skills that they've learned, then that can be a waste. So an investment in training can improve the motivation in the short term, as the employees, as we said, can actually improve their skills and knowledge, enabling them to perform their job at a higher level, and that improves motivation in itself. But in the long term, if it's ongoing investment in training, so not just a one-off like I said before, but ongoing investment in training, then it creates a learning environment which can lead to long-term motivation within the business and for the employees. Now, the next strategy is support. So support is individual assistance and services designed to actually help the employees cope with problems that they may find difficult within their life or within the workplace. And so common strategies include things like employee assistance program. That's a confidential sort of counselling service that lots of businesses provide. Mentoring, so where experienced employees actually acts as a mentor for new employees or inexperienced employees and help support them that way. Or just simple general managerial support. So using a very employee-centered management style where the manager works with the employees to help provide that support during difficult times or to help improve the skills of the employee. So any kind of support can be a real motivator within a business. So if we look at advantages of support, so support can help improve the mental well-being of employees if they are finding things difficult, and that's the kind of support that's being provided, like an employee assistance program where they receive that sort of free counselling service within the business. Also helps build a strong culture where the employees and the businesses are looking out for each other. And also, as we've mentioned, it can be a long-term motivator where if employees are within a business where they feel supported, they're more likely to stay and more likely to work hard and give back to the business. Now, some disadvantages. We look specifically at an employee assistance program. Managers may not know who the actual employees that are using the employee assistance program. Remembering that an employee assistance program is like a confidential counselling service where the employees can access counselling to help them through issues that they're dealing with. Well, that's confidential, so therefore the managers don't know who's actually accessing that particular service, and therefore they don't know who is struggling within their workplace, so they can find it difficult to demonstrate emotional intelligence. Also, it's important that really there needs to be a positive culture to effectively provide support for employees. And so if that isn't apparent, then may not actually be effective. Now, depending on the type of support that's actually being provided, it can provide short-term motivation, so helps employees complete tasks and the employees feel like, well, the business or their mentor or whoever it is that's providing the support really has their back and provides that short-term motivation in difficult times or things that they're struggling with. Also, in terms of long-term motivation, as we said before, it can create a really positive culture and can create an environment where employees feel like they belong because they know that they're part of something where the employees or the other people within the business are actually supporting them. Now, the last strategy in our study design is sanctions. So sanctions are penalties imposed on an employee for poor performance or for things like disobeying a policy. So some examples of sanctions that can occur are things like loss of benefits, could be demotions within the business, so where the employee loses a level of responsibility. It could be written warnings, so the process of actually getting rid of the employee through written warnings. Those are some examples of some sanctions. Now, essentially, it's based on fear from the employee. So trying to motivate the employees to say, well, if you do the wrong thing, then you will receive a sanction, and trying to motivate them to do the right thing. So other employees may also fear sanctions as well. So if they see an employee being sanctioned, it might motivate the other employees to say, okay, I don't want that to happen to me, so therefore they'll do the right thing. Now, some of the advantages of sanctions is that, well, some employees actually respond to sanctions and are motivated by that sort of negative consequence. It also may bring other employees in line. If a policy has been breached and therefore an individual or some individuals have been sanctioned, it can motivate the other employees to say, well, as I said before, well, I don't want that to happen to me, and therefore they'll fall in line. Also, though, it's positive reinforcement for employees that always do the right thing. So if there is a group of employees that are constantly doing the wrong thing but nothing happens, then that can actually demotivate those employees that are doing the right thing. So if the employees are doing the wrong thing and they are sanctioned, that's positive reinforcement for those employees who are doing the right thing, and that is one of the real advantages of sanctions. Now, with the disadvantages, normally it's only a short-term motivator. So there's lots of research out there to say that, yes, it can impact on the short term and really effectively in the short term. So it's often seen as a short-term motivator. It can cause resentment from employees and harm the relationships between the manager or those that are actually giving out the sanctions and the employees, and also can cause disputes and union involvement if the employees feel like they've been sanctioned unfairly. Now, in the short term, sanctions can ensure employees are motivated to do the right thing for fear of actually receiving a sanction. Or, as I said before, if someone receives a sanction, it motivates that employee in the short term to do the right thing. However, in the long term, sanctions can actually harm relationships and damage the corporate culture if that is the only way of actually motivating employees. And so businesses have to be really careful. Yes, they will, lots will probably have to have sanctions within there to keep employees in line. However, if that's the only method that's being used to try and motivate employees, it can really eat away and damage the corporate culture. So that's it for our motivation strategies video. Just remember that there are 5 key strategies in our study design: performance-related pay, investment in training, career advancement, support, and sanction. And you need to know the advantages and disadvantages of each of those, along with the impact or the effect on short-term and long-term motivation. So for questions, activities, and to find out more about our Unit 4 and exam preparation lectures, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.